In terms of voice, like English has always been the language that I've chosen to write in, and it gets complicated because of the colonial sort of implications of the language in Hong Kong.
Home is the root of somebody. And you have to trace the history and the trace of oneself is important. And it's like the bonding with other Hong Kong people are stronger than the past. To be honest, I'm not so focused on what's happening. Until 2014, and I start to think about the relationship between Hong Kong and I. At that time, I went to the street. Attended many discussions about Hong Kong. I feel more closer to Hong Kong because I feel the urge of other Hong Kong people. And it's like the bonding with other Hong Kong people are stronger. It's direct, where I feel comfortable and where I can be with those people I love and close to me. Maybe I will feel comfortable if I live in Taiwan. But my family and my friends are in Hong Kong, so I think it's different. Yeah, we can live in other places, other countries, but home is the root of somebody, and you have to trace the history and the trace of oneself is important.
I went to a school that wasn't traditionally local school in Hong Kong for the first 6 years. So the way that I type Chinese, I still type it in Mandarin Pinyin. Even when I type Cantonese, which is very bizarre because Cantonese does not actually have a correlation. Like it does not have a word that corresponds. You have to really figure out what the words are. And yeah, so that's that. And in Cantonese, I think I speak it higher.
There is a hole on the street. I fall into it. I was lost. I was devastated. It's not my fault. I tried so hard to climb out of the hole. I walk on the same street. Oh, and there is a deep hole. I pretend not to see it. And still I fall into it. I can't believe I'll fall into the same place. But this is not my fault. And I still spend a lot of effort to climb out of it. I walk on the same street. There is a hole on the street. I saw it is there, but I still fall into it. This is a habit. I have my eyes open. I know where I am. This is my fault. I climb out of it right away. I walk on the same street. I saw a hole on the street. I detour. I walk on another street.
In terms of speaking voice, in terms of English, I think, I sound the way I do now because ever since I've started working professionally, as an ethnically Chinese looking person, you look very young no matter what. And I think in order to be taken seriously, I sort of made it a little bit more steady or monotone or, suppressed it a little bit because I was like, okay, I have to be taken seriously by these people.
时候开始，你变得如此敏感，看什么都不顺眼，动不动觉得好累，在你设定的时间，规矩就是斑马线，很多人站在那边，却很难走到对面。生命本来就有脆弱，腐蚀生活的恐惧，不应该那么多。做自己的太阳，你就能当别人的光。宇宙了，我希望你能找回单纯的
我忘记歌词了啊。哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒哒。
Mandarin I only speak with my mother because she's from mainland China. I get very rusty after periods where we're not as friendly with each other. My Mandarin is like a direct correlation of like my relationship with my mother at a specific point in time. The most important part of it is to show not how different we are from the rest of the world, like how like people always want weird Hong Kong stories. They always want to be like, oh, look at this like temple or whatever, isn't that bizarre? Or oh, look at how like these young people are doing things that like our young people are not doing. Like there's always like this sort of exoticized lens to it, and I want to think about it in terms of, I think the most important thing is to show how we're human. And how we're similar in a way to also like everyone else who are fighting for whatever causes they have in their own community. And I think that perspective is lacking right now.
So the first line say 不輸給雨，不輸給風 not losing to rain and not losing to wind and not losing to the snow and to the hotness of summer. "不輸給風也不輸給雪和夏天的酷熱。擁有強健的身體，沒有慾望，絕不發怒。總是靜靜微笑着，一天吃4杯糙米。味噌和少許蔬菜， 所有事情都不考慮自己。好好看仔細。聽並且去了解。然後不忘記。住在原野的松樹林蔭下的小茅草屋。若西邊有疲累的母親，就去替她扛稻束。若東邊有生病的小孩，就去照顧他。若南邊有瀕死之人，就去告訴他不必害怕。若北邊有人吵架或訴訟，就告訴他們沒意義。算了吧。乾旱時節流淚，冷夏時慌亂地奔走，被大家稱作木偶。不被稱讚，也不讓人感到苦惱。我就是想成為那樣的人。Someone who is going to die on the south side, go to tell him that not to be afraid. If there's someone arguing on the north side, go to tell them that it's meaningless. Let it go. When there is drought, shed your tears. When there is cold summer, run wildly. Being called as a puppet and not being praised, it doesn't make you feel sad or confused. I just want to be a person like that.
Hong Kong is always rebuilding itself. Tearing down old stuff are the usual and common practices in Hong Kong. Tear down our memory as well. Hong Kong is a city of immigrants. Their ancestor came to Hong Kong just 50 years ago. When they come here, they don't treat it really as their city. They don't mind tearing down all stuff. I guess for my generation and so on, we try to build an identity. We have an identity of Hong Konger. Keeping our memories intact is one of the very important duty for us. In the past, we are always in the middle, struggling between having the Hong Kong identity. We never really firmly create an identity for ourselves. Life is already very quick here. The smartphone makes the life even quicker. Unless we have successfully to form a community for our own, and we really regard that as our city, our community, we are us. In a sense, we are more than us. Because we are trying to build something new. We are always creating. The creativity, the innovation, and to rebuild ourselves. Who we are, what we are. We are always us, but we are always more than us in the present. The younger generation shows us how to be a good man. Philosophy offers you no answer. Usually you got more questions than answers. For me, philosophy is just like a travel. You go on a trip and you see a lot of different things. Maybe you do not get to your destination. But during the trip, you see a lot of beauty. And that's the beauty of philosophy. Even if you don't get the answer, but to try to explore how it is, what it means to you. Have to look for new opportunities. Don't be carried away by our ordinary life. And although I hate the new normality, there's a lot of problem there. Offer us a distance. If you find yourself with reasons that is good enough, you're powerful. I found reasons in the movement. In Cantonese 理直氣壯. When you get the right reason, then you get the right chi, the right power, the right energy, and that exactly tells me how philosophy gives me comfort and encouragement. And that's the power of philosophy in such a time.
This is an unforgettable experience for me. I went out to the central on and I never experienced such a horror. I was in a very big crowd. The police is coming to push us. But we cannot get inside, so everybody is pushing like a very big tsunami. I can feel everybody is so fucking scared. And their body is like the heavy weight is pushing in my body. And to say it is a very big pressure at that time, at that moment. And everybody is screaming. Very terrified. I was in that kind of struggling in my mind. Yeah, even now, you don't know what to do to do for the places you love. And you can truly feel you may die at that moment. It is real. And I cannot go out again for a few months.
I think to write things that pretend I am hopeful would sometimes be deceitful, and I don't want to be deceitful. But when I am hopeful, I also want to point the way to tell people why I can be hopeful.
"2019 was such an important year for us as people who live in Hong Kong. So I feel like the problems are left unsolved. Part of me very much still felt like that year has not ended. If
people's voice are left unheard and their demands are left unsolved, then all these issues can stay there. And time won't change that. If the regime or the authority wants people to just forget something because of time is passing, that won't help. That and time won't easily heal people's injuries and wounds. I guess we all need some time to get over this. But it would take a really long time. I guess people accept the fact that it took 5 years for the umbrella movement to evolve into what happened last year and make people to take to the streets. But since last year until now, I still felt like the year 2019 has not passed. Things are still going on, and problems are unsolved. People who live here, no matter whether they're at the front line or they're just staying at home watching TV, reading the news, they all have suffered something and they need time to find a way out. And there is a line in Cantonese that we all said quite often nowadays is that 每個人都需要療傷，需要時間去療傷 which means that everybody needs time to heal their wounds. Everybody will need to take a really long time to find a way out. In terms of the definition of time, it means movement. Every second pass, time is not the same. And that's the definition of time.
also not judge anyone for how they want to feel, you know? Like there's a lot of people who are like, especially commenting from overseas, they could sometimes be like, oh, you know, like police brutality isn't so bad here compared to the US or whatever. And the thing I've been thinking about recently is a lot of these comments come from people who are transnational, who say things like, oh, they split their time between this place and that place, right? And I, you know, to a group of people who only have one home, you know, every minuscule development feels very catastrophic. I was in relationships where I was very monolingual for a long time, and then I realized I had to be with someone who had to understand both sides because they were both a huge part of me. Yeah, so we switch actually, depending on what friends we're with or who initiates the conversation in what language, and we kind of just flow from there. I can only argue in English.
Because people usually think about Hong Kong as a very sort of like a cold-blooded city. Cantonese is such a lively language. There's so many slangs and idioms in Cantonese. For me, it really rings a bell. It really depicts the scenarios or even life situations in a very accurate manner. We are less tied or bounded by traditions. Even though we all know their traditions in a society, but we are less afraid to confront them. I don't think the opposite of light is darkness. If if I just compare it with my mother's generation, I would say my generation definitely has a lot more chances. Just simply because of the progressiveness. If it's compared with my mother's generation, I definitely feel we are luckier. But I think this scenario will only get better and better. The exposures the generations have when they have the chances to go abroad to see the world. Yeah. Maybe shed some lights on the future. I would say since last year, it feels like less safer. Crises arise each day. Because as there are more crises and or maybe even more threats, you feel more attached to this place. Go over here and there in such a short period of time. The movement did have its momentum, but you won't always have the momentum keeps going and going on. Even in the darkest time, there will be light, and it is needed by all humans, I think. Sometimes when a space is so well lit, but it doesn't mean that we can see things clearly. Metaphorically, it's like the lighthouse. And you feel safe, and you feel warm and loved in such a space. And to me, it's his home. Like when you do history, you can't study history right at the moment. You always have to step back and have a look at all the things that happened, and it can give you a better understanding on what really did happen. So precious to be able to be alive, to have a functioning body and a mind. And therefore, if I can really change something, I hope people can make better use of our own time and mind to appreciate our existence on Earth. Do better than just barely living.
心中有幾千重仇恨，又卻是誰所種？情仇兩不分，愛中偏有 恨，恩怨同重。忘情戲愛，世上有真英雄。常人只許讓愛恨纏心中，情仇兩不分，愛中偏